Live from the ABC7 Broadcast Center, this is ABC7 News at 5 on your side.
There's a wall of heat, so there's no way in hell that we could get in there.
Hell is the best way to describe that scene. The search for 3 people missing after a plane crashes into a house and explodes into flames ends in tragedy this evening. Within the past half hour, we've learned authorities have located 3 bodies inside that home on Drop Forge Lane.
Now, that is in addition to the 3 people on board the plane that were already confirmed dead. The plane slammed into the home just north of the Montgomery County Air Park.
News Chopper 7 live over the scene of the crash right now. You're seeing here the live pictures. We've got team coverage on the ground for you, covering every aspect of this story. And let's begin now with Maryland Bureau Chief Brad Bell. He's got the latest on the investigation. Brad?
Yeah, Leon, well, they just wrapped up the press conference right over here, and we can show you very quickly right over here. This is the house where that very sad news is confirmed. We just know that a mother and her 2 young children were found deceased in there. The police released the last name. We can tell you that the woman's name is Marie Geller, and she was found deceased in the home just a little while ago. They just couldn't get out. There was too much flame. Additionally, the NTSB is on site. And Ron, if we take another look out here, we can take a look about to the left. That's hard to see, but there's the aircraft is still lying over here in the front yard of this property, just beyond that fire truck. The NTSB did recover the flight data recorders from that aircraft, and they're beginning their investigation. We know one of the things they're going to be looking at is the possibility of a bird strike. This plane had flown from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and it radioed 4 miles out that he was having some difficulty, and it went down within 2 miles. Heading toward the runway at Montgomery Air Park, the business jet is clearly in trouble, just barely above treetops.
It was like going everywhere, it was everywhere.
If the plane is supposed to be flying like this, it's going like this. It just can't hold its balance. And hearing the engine sound.
She watches in horror as the Embraer EMB 500 jet barrel rolls wing over wing into her neighbor's home at about 10:45 a.m. You can see from this cell phone video the immense fireball as jet fuel consumes the house.
When I was in front of the house, I heard people scream, "Help, help," but I'm not sure it came from the house.
The airplane clips a house and a tree before crashing to earth in that front yard. The wreckage is barely recognizable as an airplane. Firefighters arrive less than 1 minute after the crash. The flames are already so intense, there's nothing they can do.
We are able to confirm that there were 3 people aboard the jet, all of which are confirmed fatalities at this time. We also have 3 unaccounted for residents here on the cul-de-sac.
Firefighters can be seen searching for the mother and her 2 very young daughters in the badly burned home. Family gathers, all desperate for good news.
I see the lady walking around my neighborhood all the time with those kids in the stroller.
Well, tremendous sadness about that. One of these victims, one of the children in the home, we're told was just a month and a half old. Now, the pilot of the aircraft has been identified by family members. His name is Michael Rosenberg, and the NTSB says one of the things they're going to be looking at is his flight records as well. And I know we're going to have much more on that coming up in the newscast. So, live in Gaithersburg, Brad Bell, ABC7 News.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Keep us posted. Now, in the moments after the crash, Montgomery County emergency responders shut down Snouffer School Road to traffic all the way from Centerway Road north to Goshen Road. And Fire Chief Stephen Lohr says that we should expect at least part of Snouffer School Road to remain closed through tonight and possibly into tomorrow. So keep that in mind if your commute takes you in or near that area. Audrey?
Leon, of course, that limited access to the neighborhood is just part of the impact on the people who call that community home. Kimberly Suiters continues our team coverage tonight live from the scene. Kimberly?
The immediate impact, of course, is the heartbreak of having lost 6 lives here. 3 of them neighbors, 1 of them a newborn baby, another one a 3-year-old child, and then a mother, all gone. So the neighborhood really reeling from that. Also, though, many people saying they thought and feared this could happen living so close to the air park. They say that airplanes fly way too low all of the time, and it's something that they were really fearful of for many years. Let's take a look at some video that we saw earlier in the day when the explosion happened. People witnessed everything because of the time of day that the crash happened. They witnessed the plane having trouble over the road, flying low over the Safeway, and then taking a sharp bank down into the house here. People said they felt the explosion in their homes. Of course, then the smoke and the flames, you could smell the smoke for many, many blocks. Many, many people affected in so many ways.
We got out, we tried to get there. The lady was screaming, there was a kid and there was a lady inside. So we tried to go there, but it was just like, it was a wall of heat. So there was no way in hell that we could get in there.
And I had no idea what had happened. I couldn't tell that there was a plane in front of the house. I just thought, why did this house just all of a sudden have, start to have flames in front of it? So it's pretty scary. I mean, I've never seen anything like that before.
And the hardest part for the people who did survive is that they say even with this devastating impact, they felt like there was literally nothing they could do. Reporting live in Gaithersburg, Kimberly Suiters, ABC 7 News.
Thank you, Kimberly. Just heartbreaking situation there all the way around. And we're also learning more tonight about the people on board that plane who were killed. ABC 7 IT reporter Josie Sturman has been digging through aviation records this afternoon. And Josie, I understand that one of those victims survived an earlier crash near the same airport. What did you learn about that?
Absolutely, Leon. It's unbelievable, but Michael J. Rosenberg was the pilot of a plane that crashed into the trees at the Montgomery County Air Park, the same one back in 2010. His family confirmed that for us exclusively earlier today as we tried to track down who was involved in this crash. They say Rosenberg was an experienced pilot, and tonight they are in shock. Now, Rosenberg's earlier crash was a big one. You're looking at News Chopper 7 footage that was over the scene back in March of 2010. It shows his turboprop buried in the trees and the snow. Now, Rosenberg walked away from that crash, but his plane was destroyed. It was more than $1 million in damage. The Montgomery County Fire Chief says he crashed during landing, and the chief posted photos to his own personal blog 4 years ago. But in this crash, Rosenberg was not as lucky. He was killed. He was a doctor and a CEO of Health Decisions, a North Carolina-based clinical research firm. He was considered distinguished in his field, written up frequently by the local press in his hometown with praise for his innovations. Now, his family, which does live locally here in the D.C. area, says Rosenberg lived in North Carolina and Florida. We know he had an active FAA license and was medically cleared to fly that jet that crashed today in Gaithersburg as recently as past February. Now, Rosenberg is also a licensed flight instructor. His family tells me they are anxious to hear more about what caused this crash. They tell me they are devastated not only by their own personal loss, but by knowing this crash also impacts at least one family on the ground. In the newsroom, Josie Sturman, ABC 7 News.
Okay, Josie, and today's crash is at least the fourth deadly crash involving the Montgomery County Air Park in the last 29 years. Richard Reeve is live at the airpark tonight with reaction there, including the recent push for change by the airport's neighbors. Rich, what are they saying?
Yeah, Audrey, you can imagine the emotion that's going on here at the air park. This is a very small community. A lot of these pilots know each other. The aviation vendors here, they are all certainly talking about it. In addition, in the neighborhood, about a mile and a half from here, a lot of folks are concerned about planes flying too low.
It is unforgiving when an airplane fails. You don't get a second chance.
There were many somber faces here at the Montgomery County Air Park. Because of the crash, the air park was closed. So staffers and air park vendors watched television coverage of the devastation only a mile and a half away.
This is certainly the worst event that's happened in my experience.
John Klinger is a software engineer who calls the pilots who fly here colleagues. Aviation experts say the Phenom 100 is an extremely reliable aircraft. And Klinger is among those shocked by this crash.
I certainly wasn't aware of the magnitude of the damage and the possible loss of life.
According to air traffic control radio transmissions, there was a strange warning minutes before the crash. We got an unusual amount of birds out here. Can you guys bring out the cannon? Some airports use noise-making devices to scare away wildlife that interferes with departing and arriving aircraft. But then, moments later...
Hey guys, I think that Phenom just came up short. What? Oh, we got a Phenom crash at the end of the runway. Call emergency services.
This has been a fear that the planes coming into and out of the air park, that one day we would have an accident like this.
Rebecca Trupp was among the neighbors who looked on in horror at the crash site. She says there's been a growing concern about planes flying too low above a residential area.
This has been a fear, and, you know, we've tried to talk about maybe readjusting flight patterns and to no avail, and so here we stand today.
And we should tell you that NTSB records show that since 1983 there have been 29 air accidents here. 6 of them were fatal, 3 of them were fatal. 6 people have been killed. A very difficult day here. Live in Gaithersburg, Richard Reeve, ABC 7 News.
Okay, Richard, thank you. Well, you can be sure to count on ABC 7 to bring you any new developments on the breaking news from that plane crash scene as we learn them.
That's right. We'll be back with a live report from the scene for you around 5:30 at this hour, and again at 6 p.m. as well. We're also constantly adding new details, new pictures, new video as well, all to our website, WJLA.com.
Still ahead here on ABC 7 News at 5, a pizza delivery driver stabbed to death inside a home. What a new witness says motivated the attack that ended with a man in handcuffs.
Plus, a life lost in a burning home when witnesses say they knew something was wrong.
Plus, the new push from fraternities at the University of Virginia after Rolling Stone apologized for its own article.
If I hadn't begun screaming, the neighbors who had been walking their dog would have just probably kept on going.
And the clue police want you to know about in the search for the men who are accused of attacking 2 women in 2 different parts of Northwest Washington.
Rain headed into the area tonight, maybe a wintry mix. There's an advisory to talk about coming up on ABC 7 News at 5.
2 frightening attacks in Upper Northwest in just a matter of days, both targeting women. The first happened Saturday afternoon on 28th Street Northwest. The second was early yesterday morning on Ingomar Street Northwest. 7 is on your side, fighting back with reporter Jennifer Donnellan, who spoke with both the intended victims and what they did to combat their attacker. Jennifer joins us live with the story you will see only on 7 tonight. Jen?
Well, Audrey, it may seem to be a simple thing to do, just scream, right? But when you are face to face with a criminal, oftentimes you can be paralyzed with fear. You can not find your voice. In one case, we've got a woman who's got a guy trying to come into her house. In another case, we've got a woman with her keys, just like we all are doing right now, holiday shopping. He gets the keys. Her purse is in the car. He gets that purse, but she started screaming. Meet 46-year-old Charlotte.
There's nothing else I could do but scream. I have to use everything I've got.
And 75-year-old Mary
was on the ground screaming. Call 911, call 911.
2 women who've never met. Both, though, were sadly the victims of terrifying crimes this weekend in Northwest. And both used the only line of defense they had at their disposal, their vocal cords. Yesterday morning at 7:30, while her 5-year-old son was in the living room, a man walked into Charlotte's backyard on Ingomar Street. She thought it was a contractor. She unlocked the back door, but then she saw the mask. She had no time to lock the door. She needed both hands on the handle.
The intruder outside was trying to open it, shaking the doorknob, trying to open. So for the life of me, I was holding down for my life.
Police credit her screams with his decision to take off. She installed home surveillance today.
Give me your keys and pushed me down.
75-year-old Mary was just coming home around 4:45 Saturday afternoon on 28th Street when 2 men violently pushed her to the ground in front of her house.
So I got as loud as I possibly could.
Those screams, as police said, the men got inside her BMW and were about to steal it.
I was lying there thinking, I've got to get louder, I've got to get louder, because I realized that nobody was coming that I could see.
But a couple was outside and heard her. Police believe that forced the men to bail out of stealing the car, but they do have her purse and everything in it.
And I'll be glad when the locks are changed so that I can finally get some sleep.
So they got her keys, but the locks are now changed. Mary's a little sore and stiff, but she's doing okay. Mentally, she's shaken up. As far as Charlotte inside her home, they've got those new cameras in there, and she said she's no longer going to be answering the door. Both women shaken up, but fortunately, both are okay. For more information on what these guys look like and the cars they were in, go to our website, WJLA.com. Reporting live from Northwest, I'm Jennifer Donnellan, ABC 7 News.
Thank you, Jen. 3 Greek organizations want the University of Virginia to issue an apology and lift the suspension it's placed on fraternity and sorority events on campus after rushing to judgment. Now, this request comes following Rolling Stone magazine's retraction of an article describing an alleged gang rape at a campus fraternity party. The school banned all Greek events after that article was published while it investigated the allegations. Rolling Stone has apologized for discrepancies in that article.
All right, want to get a check of the weather tonight because big changes are coming. Go ahead and try and get home now while you can, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we got several hours here through the evening, even, at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, if you have plans to go out for a while, you'll be fine. But later tonight, probably closer to 11 o'clock, midnight, that's when we expect rain to move in. And if you're north and west of the metro area, it could be a wintry mix of snow and sleet. So let's jump to it. First thing is our headline, and that is the winter weather advisory that goes into effect at 9 p.m. through 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. In the areas highlighted in our holiday shade of periwinkle all to the north and west of the metro area. So that's the advisory. Most areas going to have rain. Now, with that said, as the storm develops and the air is marginally above freezing here and overhead where the precipitation is manufactured, I suppose there could be a couple snowflakes or sleet pellets, but air temperatures expected by and large to stay above freezing. So mostly a rain impact locally, metro area. Farther west, maybe some brief slipping and sliding. Temperatures pretty much pinned in the 30s. They won't move much, maybe drop a couple degrees overnight. The wintry mix again north and west of the metro area, the largest concern through the overnight and through the early part of tomorrow morning's rush hour. Temperatures across the east coast cold again, all due to high pressure over northern Maine. 8 degrees at Caribou right now, 24 in Burlington, Boston's Logan Airport at 25. Cold air pushes south, and that's a player in this weather pattern. So we've got the cold air in place. The next thing we need is the moisture, and that's starting to develop now with a developing coastal low. As this high moves offshore tonight, that's going to help this system really gain some energy. It's not going to race northward. It's going to move slowly but steadily to the north-northeast the next few days, pull a lot of moisture in, and we think that the heaviest rain from this will be south and east of the metro area towards the lower bay, the eastern shore, south side Virginia, but just enough moisture circulating in the higher elevations to give the wintry mix. Now, as we get through the day tomorrow, I think enough ocean air will get wrapped into the storm that even areas under the advisory now will probably see mostly rain during the day tomorrow. Now, as far as how it may work out, our Futurecast computer model, 9 p.m. tonight, there could be some moisture and some areas of snow or wintry mix just north and west of town later tonight. And then as we get through early tomorrow morning, the rain moves in. The yellow shows the heaviest area, and the areas farther to west, maybe the wintry mix in those areas. The rain continues through the day, could be heavy at times. And again, the computer modeling suggests that perhaps if there's going to be a bullseye of heaviest precipitation, it'll be south and eastern suburbs, lower southern Maryland, northern neck, middle peninsula, parts of the eastern shore, and then the farther north and west you are, the lighter the precipitation will be. So here's the forecast for late tonight. The rain will be developing probably generally in the 11 o'clock hour, moving in from the south and east, mid-30s when you get up, upper 30s by midday with periods of rain. Could be heavy at times again through the day, especially south and east of the city. And the next 7 days shows that after the rain ends tomorrow, we'll see some improvement Wednesday. But here's the deal Wednesday. The storm moves out. It's going to get mighty windy. It'll be chilly. Can't rule out a few flurries, but we will get some Wednesday sunshine, but the gusty winds will make it feel colder. Things will settle down on Thursday with lighter winds, partly cloudy and chilly weather. Friday, a nice day, and then right through the weekend, a very, very slow warm-up, but at least sunny, cool, seasonable December weather through the weekend and early next week.
Nothing on there. Looks like you forgot to put your little things on there.
No, it's all on there. Just no more storms in the immediate future after this one.
Thank goodness.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
Coming up here on ABC 7 News at 5, we will take you back to that breaking news unfolding right now in Gaithersburg, where 6 are now confirmed dead after a plane crashes into a home.
Plus, eyewitnesses explain the moment they ran to try and help a family trapped by fire.
It takes a sick mind to do something like that.
Only on 7, family members describe the man killed while delivering a pizza, what police believe motivated the unprovoked attack.
But first, here's what's coming up in prime time right here on ABC 7. A possible motive tonight for the murder of a pizza delivery man inside of a Bowie home.
This comes as we learn more about not only the suspects, Brandon Stevens, but also the victim, Lewis Jordan, an Iraq War veteran. Suzanne Kennedy is live in our newsroom tonight with the details you will see only on 7. Suzanne?
Well, Leon and Atra, the charging documents in this case outline how the suspect wrongfully accused the Papa John's delivery man of having an affair with his girlfriend and how that fueled his rage to take his life.
He was trying to make ends meet when one of his customers allegedly took his life. Lewis Jordan had delivered pizza for less than a year when police say Brandon Stevens stabbed him to death on Saturday.
It doesn't make sense.
Today, his sisters are trying to figure out how they'll pay for his funeral, as they are still in a state of shock.
I'm full of anger. I'm full of hurt.
He was their little brother, a man loved by many.
My brother didn't deserve this because he didn't do anything to anybody. He loved everybody. He was a sweet person, and he would give his last to anybody if he had it.
Court documents outline what happened when Jordan delivered 2 pizzas to Stevens' house Saturday. As the suspect was paying, he accused the delivery man of having an affair with his girlfriend. He attacked Jordan by stabbing him repeatedly, then dragged the victim to a back bedroom. Jordan was an Iraq War veteran. His family feared he might die there. They thought he was safe here at home.
We worried about us getting the phone call at any time then if something happened. Not a phone call that he was just delivering a pizza that someone took his life.
Never in a million years would I expect for him to be at work and something like this happens.
The suspect also handcuffed and threatened to kill his girlfriend, who was there at the time, if she called police. It was only after the victim's co-workers became worried about him that they called police, who went to Jordan's last delivery spot. Reporting live in the newsroom, Suzanne Kennedy, ABC 7 News.
Wow.
Suzanne, thank you. Coming up on ABC 7 News at 5, royalty in America. Prince William strolls through America's capital city today. Just ahead, we'll show you the rare moment captured exclusively by ABC 7 cameras.
Plus, only weeks after 7 on your side help to get the heat flowing at a local apartment complex. There are more problems emerging there. The new problems and what residents say must happen. Just ahead.
I'm Mike Canine, live in Gaithersburg. It's still a very active scene here, the side of a plane crash that took the lives of 6 people. Coming up, details on the timeline of that NTSB investigation and the status of the black box.
You're watching ABC 7 News at 5 on your side.
New details are emerging tonight about those 6 people killed when a plane crashed into a Gaithersburg home.
And among those killed were a newborn and a 3-year-old. Mike Canine continues our breaking news coverage with the new details that he's just learned at the scene. Mike, what are you hearing there?
Leon, we just learned from the NTSB and local officials, fire and police, saying that there was a mother and the 2 young children whose lives were lost in this tragedy here in Gaithersburg. We're told that the mother and 2 children were found on the 2nd floor of this structure in a room together. We also know, of course, that 3 others' lives were lost on that plane when it crashed here sometime around 10:45 this morning. The NTSB saying that the plane was on a GPS approach to runway 14 at the Montgomery County Air Park. Now NTSB investigators here on scene beginning their fact-finding investigation that could last 3, 5, maybe as long as 7 days. Several families now displaced from their homes. And of course, everyone concerned about the family who's lost 3 lives here on this cul-de-sac.
This is a tragic loss for the Montgomery County community. I am sad to report that they did not survive this event. And at this time, of course, we are beginning the important work of recovering the bodies from this incident and beginning the investigative steps necessary to advance the investigation.
The mother and 2 young children, their lives lost. The youngest child just a month and a half old, a newborn. But the father and older child, a 5-year-old, believed not to be home at the time. They are both accounted for alive tonight. Take a look at the scene behind me. Now that the smoke is cleared and this street is illuminated, you can really get a sense of the damage to the structures. Still a lot of fuselage in front of some of these homes. Investigators saying it appears that the plane struck the first home with a small piercing through the roof. roof. Then the part of the plane crashed into the front door of the second home, and the bulk of the damage to the third home, where those 3 lives were lost, with the wing catapulting over the third house, resulting in all those flames and smoke. Even at this hour, we're still seeing heat, smoke coming off of that structure, with firefighters just moments ago hosing down parts of the upper level. And again, very active crime scene investigators here taking pictures, collecting evidence, and they say in the weeks to come they'll be talking to witnesses and neighbors here, looking at the crew's experience, the crew's training, checking that air traffic control data, and also checking at weather conditions as well. Reporting live in Gaithersburg, Mike Canine, ABC 7 News.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Now, we've got something here, folks, that you really need to see. Video of the plane crash aftermath, and you will see this only here on 7. Scott Manso was at the Safeway near the crash scene when he says that he noticed the plane flying lower than normal, and that's when he ran to his car, and he went to the scene capturing this cell phone video. And in this video, you can see the wreckage. You can see the house on fire there. You see pieces of the plane right next to the children's swing set. Gives you a really good sense of what it was like immediately after that crash.
Yeah, and you could see one of the first responders there walking up, and just what looked like sheer panic on his face. Couldn't believe what he was seeing. That video is unbelievable. I cannot believe he got that close.
Phone came in real low.
Wow, unbelievable video there. Well, investigators tonight are pouring through mountains of evidence and data to try to figure out what brought this plane down. Of course, one of the first places they will look is to the weather. Chief Meteorologist Doug Hill is here now with what conditions were like the moment the plane lost control. Doug?
Well, the NTSB said today that they will look at weather as one of the factors, but there are no obvious weather causes that we can see, but that's certainly a possibility. I said, take a look first at what we have as our Doppler radar. This was right around the crash time at 11 o'clock. There was a snow shower in areas of Florie's, Poolsville to areas just across the river into northern Fairfax County, but nothing immediately. There were some air traffic controlled transmissions that we heard recordings of that people were talking about weather moving into that area. But at the moment, it was cloudy. Temperature reported at the air park at the time of the crash was 30 degrees with a light northeasterly wind at 6. So the investigation into weather as a possibility will continue. Locally, we have our own weather headline, and this is a winter weather advisory, 9 p.m. tonight to 8 a.m. tomorrow, north and west of the metro area, where there could be a wintry mix of snow and sleet and rain. Most of the metro area, the I-95 corridor, a cold rain in our forecast tonight. Rain could be heavy at times in spots tomorrow. We'll talk where those likely spots are and when we'll see some improvement in our pattern in just a few minutes, Autria.
Okay, Doug, thank you. And be sure to stay with ABC 7 for the very latest on this breaking story as it unfolds. We'll have live team coverage coming up right here at 6 p.m., including the moment those on the ground realized something went terribly wrong.